is Will Erickson from Momentum Academy. I'm going to talk about why you would hire a solo bubble developer versus why you would go to an agency. So there are pros and cons to each approach. Obviously, there's going to be a lower cost to going directly to a developer, and there's going to be a higher cost to going to an agency. But the question is that worth it? And what are the types of scenarios where it makes sense to use a developer versus using an agency? So what we've commonly seen is that people like to work with an agency when they have a large project which is beyond their capability to manage in-house. You run a business, you're a manager, you don't necessarily want to go and do a massive project where you have to hire, recruit, manage staff, ensure they get the outcomes, and then roll that out within your business. You should really be concerned with running your business and doing what you do best. In that context, it does make sense to bring in an agency who not only has development, but design, product management, and stakeholder management skills. So in that context, bringing in an agency for a discrete period makes a lot of sense. The other thing is using an agency is actually probably a more cost-effective solution for a short-term project than bringing on a full-time person that you don't need moving forward a long time. I really like the concept of a bubble system administrator, and that's someone who can actually work with things like data. They can make basic front-end changes. They understand how to deploy, but they're not the person who's going to go out and do like a high-level new feature build or new app build on their own. And so this type of person is more junior, but they can be placed in your organization and they can maintain your app moving forward without having to necessarily be the most qualified, most expensive bubble developer available. So agencies are really awesome to build out big features, new products, and to augment your team when you need them for a discrete time, but then you don't carry that cost in your business moving forward. Solo developers, on the other hand, have a different profile. So solo developers are really great for very small projects such as MVP projects or proof of concept of new ideas. The thing about a solo developer, especially if they're really great, is that they don't have the overhead of having to work with a team. So coordinating 4 or 5 people around a product is actually much harder than coordinating one person. As a solo developer, I was able to do projects where I would come in, I would do 60 hours of work. I'd spend 1 hour with the client at the start, 1 hour at the end, and they'd be happy because I understood the whole thing. I had a design, I just had to go and implement and then present maybe just a few small things, but no major bugs, no major miscommunication. When you go to a team approach, you have to factor in that there's a management and there's a coordination element to a team. So teams are inherently more expensive, and in some ways there's a loss of productivity because of the whole team setup. You have to communicate, you have to develop this mutual understanding of the digital product. So a solo developer can actually work much faster and can get to a great outcome, particularly if they're really competent. But the downside is that a solo developer can't build a huge project. So if you're a solo dev and you get a massive project, then it's actually impossible for you to do that by yourself. Or at least you could do it, but it might take you 6 months and the client might want that in 2 months or 3 months. So in that case, the benefit of having an agency, having a team, means you can scale up the speed of your app build and hopefully get to the outcome quicker. The last thing with a solo dev is they are probably good for a maintenance phase. So say you've done a new build with an agency or you've developed an MVP. The solo dev is good for iterating upon that, and where you don't need that huge uplift in features straight away, the solo dev can chip away at things. They can work more agile, they can understand the business perspective. So we believe that a solo dev can be really good at that initial MVP and on that maintenance phase, whereas an agency is really ideal when you need a big piece of work done and you need the coordination of a team. The last thing would be that the solo devs that you consider, you want to understand, have they worked in a team? Have they had senior support? Were they self-taught, or have they worked in a team environment where you have things like development standards, documentation standards, design standards? Without these sorts of things, employing a solo developer can actually be quite risky because they don't create the sort of records, they don't operate in a structure that then other developers can come and take over. So choosing the wrong solo developer can actually introduce a high level of key person risk, whereas a development team can carry that, can share it out, can create the process and systems to actually manage the product and eliminate that risk. So in summary, agencies are great where you've got a big project, where you've got a lot of coordination needed. You need to do things quickly. You've got a clear vision for what you're trying to do. Solo developers are really good for small MVPs and then for continuation phases where they get embedded within your team. So thanks so much for listening. If you're interested to learn more, if you're considering managing a Bubble developer, managing a digital product built on Bubble, then check out our momentumacademy.tech site. We have a course for you where you can learn all the skills, not necessarily to be a Bubble developer, but how to screen, how to look for the right developer, and how to manage your project, your business successfully as you implement Bubble as a technology into your business. So thanks for listening. I hope that's been helpful, and I hope to meet you soon.